Hi guys, it's the FMWonderbros here with Callum
Elliot here.
and today we're just going to be going through all of the transfers in the Premier League and sort of seeing how we rate the transfer so far. So, firstly, we've got Arsenal. They made one big signing, I would say, in Ben White. What's your opinions on him?
I think that Ben White was very overpriced. I think 50 million for a centre back who has won the championship and done nothing else really is outrageous.
I think he's going to slot into Arsenal's side straight away, but I do agree with you that he is very overpriced. And I think Arsenal losing players on loan like Odegaard and Danny Ceballos from last year, I think that's going to hit them hard this year.
Yeah, I don't see Arsenal doing very well this season unless they make another few signings because, yeah, they're just banter FC, aren't they? And 50 million on Ben White is, in my opinion, outrageous, especially when you think that Varane is. I know it's not gone through yet at the time of recording, but Varane is meant to be about 50 million ish, and he has won like so much. It's just different levels.
Yeah, I just don't think Arsenal have made enough signings to be that top four side that they once were, maybe like 10 years ago, where
Mm,
everyone was like raving about them. I just don't think they're going to be that side this year again.
yeah, no, I agree with you there.
So going on to Villa, I think Villa's won this transfer window so far.
In the Premier League, yeah, I have to agree with you there. Some of the players they brought in, Young, Bailey, they've just got Twanzebe on loan, Danny Ings. They've just, yeah, they've
They
done it.
also signed Buendia from
Oh yeah,
Norwich, which is an
Buendia.
incredible signing, yeah.
Yeah, they've
But
done great.
the one downside to their transfer window is that they lost Jack Grealish.
Yeah, yeah, Grealish. I mean, I'm a United fan, but I still love Grealish. Back in my England top, and now he's gone to City. That makes me so upset. But
The good, yeah, go on, mate.
but on the other hand, if as a Villa perspective, I would rather have these four or five great players instead of just one in Grealish.
Yeah, I definitely think that they brought in the quality, um, sort of quality over quantity. No, is that right?
Yeah,
Quantity over quantity over quality.
yeah, they brought in more
Yeah,
more players, but who are just well not just as good. I think Grealish is probably better than all of them, but it's better to have
you've got
five like fairly decent players than one great, in my opinion.
you've got a proven goal scorer in Danny Ings. Buendia tore up the Championship last year. He also did it in the Premier League when Norwich were in there. Uh, yeah, I'm just looking forward to seeing Villa this year, really.
I think
So
I think they're gonna have a very good season if all the players gel. That is.
yeah. So now moving on to Brentford, newcomers Brentford. What's your rating on their window? They've brought in two players, really.
I have no clue who they brought in. You'll have to tell me.
They've brought in that Celtic defender Ayer and Onyenka, who's from Dutch, Danish side, I think it is.
To be
But
honest,
they're ju-
I've never heard of that second guy. To be honest with you, but I've heard of him. Had him on Football Manager, and for a team like Brentford have just come up, I think he's going to be a fairly decent player, especially next to Pontus Jansson, who I know is not the best centre back in the world, but I mean he can hold his own. Done it for Leeds, done it for Brentford last season, and Ivan Toney up front. I think I don't think they'll go down. I think they'll have not an okay season. It'll be tough for them, but I think they just about might
I
stay
think
up.
the only thing with Brentford is they're going to lack squad depth because they let Macondes go at the end of his contract, just signed a contract with Bournemouth and scored on his debut against, who's it, West Brom.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to lack squad depth, Brentford, and that's going to where they fall foul. But I do agree. I think they might stay up this year. So now moving on to Brighton.
Again, I don't
For
know
me,
who they've signed.
yeah, I was looking through the transfers. There was no one that I recognised on the list. They've made 3 signings, I want to say, this season. None of them I recognised, and ultimately they've lost Ben White.
Yeah. But then again, they have just got 50 million, so there's how many weeks left of the transfer window? Is there? A couple, I guess. So they could go out and
3.
Yeah, 3 weeks left. They could go out and sign someone. They have 50 million to spend, but we'll see. I mean, I think Graham Potter is a very good manager, so I think he'll do well with the players that he's already got.
I don't think Ben White's going to be a massive loss for them as well. I rate Dunk. I think he's a cracking centre back, and to have him still there is a massive plus for Brighton. I think they might struggle because I just think they will. They're a side that always do scrape down the bottom, but I think they might survive this year again.
Yeah, I hope they do. I do like Brighton.
Okay, now moving on to Burnley. They haven't brought in anyone big nor lost anyone. They've brought in a backup keeper in Wayne Hennessy, and they got rid of Ben Gibson. Don't know how their season's going to go, really.
I think they're going down, to be honest.
I think with their transfer window, they needed to strengthen in specific areas. I think with Burnley, they just seem to win all the time or get points somehow, even though you think they lose every game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure how they're still in the Premier League, but I think they might go down this year. I think it's just one too many now. They just, especially the football they play, it's just so long ball, Brexit football.
Yeah, I think they need to sign a few more players for this transfer window to stand a chance of staying up.
Yeah, agreed.
I think they got a good centre-back pairing. I rate their 2 centre-backs, midfield, and I think they need someone, a goal scorer, to go alongside Chris Wood, who wins all the knockdowns for them.
Yeah. Yeah, like a smaller striker, a finisher.
Yeah.
Have your target man and your finisher, that's what you need. Especially if you're playing a 4-4-2 Brexit football.
Yeah, exactly. So, moving on to the Champions League winners, Chelsea.
Well, at this point, they haven't signed Lukaku, but it's very near from what I've heard and read.
The only player that they've signed is Bettinelli, and he's just going to be their third choice keeper. So
yeah, well, I think if they do get Lukaku, I mean, it's very bad business selling him for 30 million and buying him for 90 million. But last season, he was just phenomenal, and I think Timo Werner being Timo Werner and missing all these chances, I think Lukaku's going to come in and just, I think he could be signing at the season, in my opinion. We'll see, I guess.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Chelsea have let go Tomori, though. I think he's going to be a cracking centre-back one day for England. I'm surprised that they've let him go to AC Milan.
Yeah, especially as he's still fairly young.
Yeah, they let go of Billy Gilmore on loan to Norwich this year as well.
Yeah, that's understandable though.
I don't think that's bad. Yeah, I don't think that's a bad loan for them.
I think that's decent.
Yeah, I think Chelsea will have a very good season this year, especially under Tuchel. I think he had an incredible season when he came in as manager last year.
100%.
Um, Now moving on to Palace with new manager Patrick Vieira in charge.
Yeah, I forgot about that when I did my league prediction, so I might have to change that because, yeah, I don't think he should be a manager, or not, at least not managing Crystal Palace. I mean, he's managed two other clubs, I think, in France, and
Yeah,
he's just been
he was
sacked
at
from both.
Nice. Yeah, he was at OCG Nice or whatever they're called.
Yeah, I know he got sacked from them.
One thing with Palace, right, is that they had an aging squad and they let a lot of players go. Um,
Yeah,
and at the moment, I don't feel like that they've replaced them. They've got two key signings so far, and that's Anderson, the centre back that was on loan at Fulham last year from Lyon,
yeah.
and Elise, who was at Reading last year,
Uh,
and he tore up the championship.
yeah, I know Elise is very good. I had him on FM again. But yeah, I know that he is a little wonder kid.
So it'll be quite interesting to see how Palace get on under new management and with a small squad, let's say, because they do.
Yeah,
I think that they need a few more signings to guarantee the safety, but I'm quite looking forward to seeing what Palace bring this year, to be fair. So now moving on to Everton. So Everton have signed two key players, I would say, and that's Andros Townsend and Damari Gray from Leverkusen.
yeah, and they've got the what's his name as their new manager, Rafa Benitez. But I mean, I was watching the Manchester United friendly the other day, where we beat them 4-0, and I mean they weren't playing Calvert-Lewin or Richarlison, and it's pre-season, but they just looked so slow and dreadful. And Damari Gray had like one chance, and he just doesn't play enough lately. I think he needs the match fitness and the game time to get back to how good he was.
Yeah, I don't think that they've strengthened in the right areas this window. I think last year they did with bringing in Allen. Um, I still feel they're not strong enough.
Yeah, I
Like,
think they need like a backup keeper because Pickford was a little bit dodgy for Everton last year. I mean, he was great for England, but for Everton, he's just dodgy, in my opinion. Maybe it's
yeah,
because the defence are a little bit dodgy as well, but I think Everton need to focus on the back because they've got now Damari Gray, Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison. That's like a fairly good few attackers. They just need to work on the back.
yeah, I do agree. I think that they need to strengthen in some areas to be pushing for the European places, and I'd be quite interested to see how that they get on under Rafael Benitez this season, but
It will be
only time will
interesting.
tell. Yeah. So now moving on to Leeds United. What
Oh,
do you make of their window so far?
well, from what I've heard from Luca, they've made one signing who I can't remember his name, but he's the left back.
Junior Firpo.
That's the man. And apparently he seems fairly good. Still very young, I think. So, I mean, I haven't watched him play, but from what I've heard, he's fairly decent. So, yeah.
Well, they brought Jack Harrison in on a permanent this window as well.
Have they?
And yeah, yeah, they brought him in early on in the season. Transfer window, sorry, they brought him in on a permanent. They also got a youth player from Chelsea. Their youth side looks strong this year.
Yeah. I know
And
their youth squad is pretty good with. Oh, I'm going to mess it up a bit. I think they got Sam Greenwood is. They've got a few fairly decent strikers. I know that.
Yeah, and they haven't really lost anyone this window as well, apart from Alioski. I would say is their biggest loss this year,
Yeah, but
and they've sort of
yeah,
replaced him with Firpo. So
who's younger, probably quicker.
yeah, I think Leeds have done quite well this season.
Yeah, I
Like
think if they can get Rodrigo playing how he can play, like he did in Spain, and then again, if they can have a two up front, Bamford and Rodrigo, I think they'll do very well this year.
yeah, I think they will do really well because I quite like the way that Bielsa sort of like enforces like hard work and stuff into the team and stuff like that. So
Yeah,
quite looking forward to seeing what Leeds bring this season.
yeah, they are an interesting side.
So we've got the Community Shield winners, Leicester City next. What do you make of them?
I mean, I didn't watch the game because I was working.
Yeah.
I don't know who they've signed again.
So they've signed a striker called Daka. He was in the can't remember what league he was in. RB Salzburg, I think he signed from. So the Austrian league, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, never heard of him to be honest with you.
He looks like a very good player. They signed Ryan Bertrand, who was released from
Yeah,
Southampton, was it?
yeah. I mean, that's a all right backup player, but I don't think he'll start for them.
It's just going to be interesting to see if they can continue their great form in the league this year.
I hope they do. I hope they do. I do like Leicester.
Yeah, I think that they've done limited signings this year, and they haven't really lost anyone because they let Fuchs and Wes Morgan go on a free transfer. So
However, saying that, I do keep seeing online. I mean, obviously, rumours misleading in that, but I do keep seeing that Maddison might be going to Arsenal, which would be a big loss, I think.
yeah, I keep on seeing that as well. And what's his face got injured the other day as centre back.
Fofana, yeah, that was
Gonna
not a very good challenge, especially for pre-season.
a bad challenge. I think it was just unnecessary in a pre-season game,
Yeah,
and I think he's going to be a massive loss for them this season. I think they need to replace him um, soon, realistically, to stand a chance of getting in that top six. I would say.
yeah, especially as they've lost two centre backs on a free.
Yeah. So moving on to Liverpool now. They've lost Wijnaldum to PSG on a free transfer. What do you make of that?
I think that is an amazing signing for PSG, and I think Liverpool are going to miss him. I think he partly held their midfield together, and I think Henderson and what's his name? The other one, Henderson and the other
Fabinho.
one, Fabinho. That's the one. I don't think they'll be able to play week in week out for a full season. So I think they need another centre mid.
Yeah, I do agree. I've seen a lot of Liverpool fans wanting more players. They're wanting another striker, um, which I don't quite understand. I quite like Firmino.
I don't.
I think he's
I think he's dreadful.
I think he brings everything together for Sadio Mane and Mo Salah, if I'm being honest.
I honest. I have to disagree with you there. I think Firmino is horrific. I think they'd be so much better with a player like Lukaku or Giroud, a big, strong player who can hold up the play, give it to the wingers, but can also finish very well. And I don't think Firmino has the finishing.
What do you make of their new signing of Konate from Leipzig?
I haven't seen much about him. I've heard a little bit that he's like an alright player, but I think they definitely needed another centre back coming in, either if it was a starter, a backup, just whatever. They just need another centre back.
I just think that they were very unlucky last season with the amount of injuries that they had. I don't think you heard Liverpool fans complaining about, oh, it's only us that get players, like have players injured and stuff like that. No, I just think you were unlucky at the time. I don't
Yeah,
think I don't think that they deserve to be challenging for the league last year. I think that they were unlucky, but City were far and beyond the best side in that league last year.
well, their season's possibly going to start bad again this season because I'm not sure if you saw they had a friendly today and Robertson was hobbling off the pitch and had to come off early. So if he's injured for a bit, then that could screw them at the start of the season.
That's going to be Milner starting left back.
Forgot about
So,
him.
yeah, moving on to City now.
100 mil for Grealish. 100 mil.
Overpriced?
I'm not sure. I mean, it's a lot of money. I think it was probably a little bit overpriced, but it's City. They have their oil money, and not most, because they've had some good deals, but a lot of their signings, I'd say, are overpriced just because they get it done. I think Grealish is a great player, but I don't think he should have gone City, partly because I love him and I don't want him to go there. And I think City already have great players that he either won't start that many games and his career will be ruined, or he'll play and then they're just benching Mahrez or Sterling. Or I just think it was a bit. If they sold Mahrez, Sterling, or a winger, then they should have brought Grealish in. But I just think it was a little bit unnecessary.
So I don't know if you've seen it, but I've seen reports that Bernardo Silva wants to leave Man City this year.
That might be the reason then, or he might want to leave now that Grealish has come in because he knows he won't play.
Yeah, so I've seen reports that that might occur. But one thing with Man City is they lost Aguero on a free transfer. Like the whole thing with Barcelona, that's a different story. They're yet to replace him.
Yeah,
And
that's what I was just about to say. They should have spent that money elsewhere on a striker like Lukaku.
for me, that I watched the Community Shield yesterday, and it didn't look threatening from open play. Like just
Yeah,
weren't creating any chances.
I do think
So
they need another striker because I don't think that Jesus is good enough.
I would quite like Kane to go there. But we'll come on to that more in a bit when we speak about Tottenham and their transfer window. With City though as well, I think that they lost Eric Garcia. That's a massive loss for them. I think he
Oh,
was going to be an incredible player.
he was going to be amazing. FM and that again, wonder kid.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think Eric Garcia was going to be great. I mean, I know he's gone to Barcelona, but has that gone through and all that because of their salary and everything, or did it go through beforehand?
Don't know, mate. So now moving on to your United.
As a United fan, I am very happy. We
Why
got
is that?
Sancho. Might have been a lot of money, but he ruined the Bundesliga last year, and we've been crying out for a right winger for like a long time, and now we finally got one. He's English, which is always nice, and he's just magic. Varane, I know he's not 100% signed, but it's more or less 100% now. I think I'm pretty sure he's in Manchester now, pretty much having a medical and all of that for 50 million. I think that is a bargain.
I think United are up there with Villa for the best transfer window this season.
I agree.
They've filled in the right places that they needed players.
The only thing is, to make it the best transfer window that I think we've had in a long time, I would want us to bring in a centre mid or a CDM
what sort of player? Who would you go for if you were in Solskjaer's position?
Well, I've seen us linked with Saul and Camavinga and a few others, and Didi, but I think I'd go for Camavinga just because he's young. He may not be the best at the minute, but he's only 18 and he has so much potential.
Do you not want a player that is ready to go in that first team and like push them to the league? Really,
I think Camavinga would play a bit. I know Van der Beek's been playing pre-season, and apparently we're going to play him more this season, which is great. So that's like having another centre mid added, because I wouldn't class last year as him being there, to be honest, because he hardly ever played, which I think was stupid. But he's playing now, so that's all that matters. Pogba, I think he might leave. Well, I think he might leave. But now that PSG are apparently getting Messi and all of that, I don't know if they have the money. I mean, I know they have a lot of money, but like with fair play and all of that.
I don't think he will go to PSG, and I think he'll be safe there. I do agree that you need another centre mid. I think someone like Calvin Phillips. I know that he plays at Leeds in the rivalry between Leeds and United. But after the Euros, I didn't really rate him at the Euros. But that's my personal opinion.
I thought he was alright at the Euros. I think Rice. Well, they were. Yeah, I don't know. Like some games, Phillips was better. Other games, Rice was better. But I think Rice was probably better overall. He's been playing at the top level a little bit longer, but I think it's more the fact that last year Calvin Phillips was playing in the Championship, and then this year he's just had a great Euros, played against Modric, Jorginho, just some world-class centre mids, and he held his own. I think that's what makes it so
But
great about him.
I do agree that he did hold his own, but I don't think he just did anything special in England games to sort of stand out. But that's my personal opinion.
He got the assist.
Yeah. So moving to Newcastle. Newcastle haven't signed anyone at the moment.
Well, that's not surprising. Their owner is dreadful.
Yeah, I don't think Newcastle will stay up this year. I think that they will struggle. I've seen them being linked to uh, the Arsenal player that they had on loan last year,
Oh,
Joe.
Joe Willock.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
They're linked. They're linked to him, but I think that they need more players than just him.
I think that would be a good signing if they got him in, because, I mean, he went on loan to them last year in January, and I think he was by far their best player, and they look so much better with him.
Yeah, I do agree. I think he will be a very good signing for them because he won't get game time at Arsenal. I do think that they need to strengthen in other areas. Yes, they've got Callum Wilson up front. If Callum Wilson gets injured, who have they got?
Apart from St. Maximin.
Yeah, but I would say that he's quite injury prone as well. So what if he gets injured?
And then they got Joe Linton, but he, again, in my opinion,
He,
is just dreadful.
he can't score.
No,
So,
has,
and that's what you need a striker to do at the end of the day is
one
score
game
goals.
where he does all right, and then he's just dreadful again.
Yeah. So now moving on to Norwich, newcomers Norwich. I'm quite looking forward to seeing them back in the league, to be fair.
I think they're going down.
Do you?
Yeah, I think they're going down.
I think they've strengthened quite a bit. Yes, they've lost Buendia to Villa. But they've brought in Gilmore. They've brought in that Les Malou from Nice as well, I believe it is. I think that they could have quite a good season.
But I just find Norwich as a bit of a shit club, and they always come up and then just go down. I think losing Buendia, who played a massive part in their promotion, was, well, not a mistake because they couldn't have really stopped it, but I think that's going to have an effect on them, and yeah, I just think they're going to go down.
I can see where you're coming from. We'll talk about the league in another podcast, but I think their transfer window, they've strengthened quite a bit. It's a bit like we were saying with Villa. I think that they've got more quantity than quality now.
Yeah.
By losing that Buendia, they've lost the quality.
Yeah,
but they're bringing in.
That's going to be a massive loss to them.
Yeah, but they're bringing in players that are not as good, but still good enough to be at that level.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
So, moving on to Southampton now. What do you make of their window?
Horrific.
They've signed that Livramento that was at Chelsea and that they had on loan last year, I believe they had him. They've lost Danny Ings. They've lost Ryan Bertrand.
Yeah, I just think
they're going to struggle.
Is probably I don't know. I just think it's going to have a massive effect on them because who's going to play up front for them now? Danny Ings was like not a world-class striker, but he was very good. He was the one of the players keeping Southampton up. And I think now he's gone, they're not going to be scoring as many goals. And now James Ward-Prowse has linked a lot to other teams, including Villa. I think if they lose James Ward-Prowse, they will just struggle so hard.
They've got Che Adams up front, but I think Che Adams a bit hit and miss. Sometimes he can have a brilliant game, sometimes he's dreadful.
Yeah.
I don't know where Southampton's season going. I think that they need to bring in a striker to replace Ings. I think they need to strengthen in areas. I also feel that they've got one of the best youth systems in the country. They can rely on that youth team.
Yeah, I think I do agree with you there. They've created so many great players that I think they could have a few youngsters. Like they have Che Adams, they have a few other youngsters that we might not even know about who might just come out this season and just have a worldie of a season and then be put onto that stage.
So, moving on to Tottenham now. Is Harry Kane going or is he going to stay?
I think he's going. I do think he's going.
Is he going to City?
I'm not sure, you know. The fact they just spent 100 million on Jack Grealish wants me to say no. But they don't really have a striker now, so if you're going to do it, you might as well go for the best, or one of the best in the Premier League.
They were linked to Lautaro Martinez today, but Martinez's agent has come out and said that he's happy at Inter Milan. So if they do lose Kane, who is going to be their striker?
That's what makes me think that Kane's leaving. The fact that one, he wasn't going to training, but I'm not sure what happened about that. He did tweet about it and that. But secondly, the fact that they put a £60 million bid in for Lautaro Martinez, you wouldn't do that if you had Harry Kane. So I think that he might leave.
They've brought in that centre-back from Atalanta called Romero, I believe his name is.
Yeah, he was quite expensive, I think.
50 million, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I hadn't actually heard of him before.
Yeah, so I reckon, I don't want to say it, but he could be a flop. Just don't know, do you?
No, the English game is different to everywhere else.
Yeah, I think Tottenham could struggle this year. Yes, Son has signed a new contract this summer, but I think he could struggle quite. They could struggle quite a lot because they have just haven't brought anyone in, and I know Tottenham fans are getting angry at Daniel Levy because a bit like Newcastle's owners, West Ham owners, they just don't want to be spending that money.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to Watford now. What are we making of Watford? They've signed Joshua King, who was previously at Bournemouth and Everton. They signed a guy called Dennis, who was at Club Brugge last year.
Yeah.
They've signed a few youngsters. They've got Danny Rose in.
I think they'll hold their own, you know.
Do you?
I think they'll be on the edge, but I think they'll hold their own. They've got Deeney, who's just been around for ages and will know what it's like in the Prem. They've got Sarr, who's he was a beast last year in the Championship. They've actually got, if you look at it, especially with their new signings and all that, they've got quite a strong squad in my opinion.
I think some of the players are standout, but I do feel like that they've got quite a few weak links in their squad.
Yeah.
And I think that's where they're going to fall foul this year, is their weak links.
I think if they don't make any more signings this year, I think if they do stay up, they're going to have to strengthen them next summer. And then they could, if they do it right, they could be like a Premier League team in the long term.
Yeah, I do think if they stay up this year, they need more signings next year, which ultimately every club does, but more so for Watford because I feel like they are missing a few links, like I said. So, last two clubs, now moving on to my West Ham United.
Alright, I'll let you take the floor with this one.
Well, got rid of Felipe Anderson, didn't we? I'm a bit annoyed about this because we signed him for 20 odd million and we've basically let him go back to Lazio on a free. Got rid of a centre back in Balbuena. We've got rid of a youngster who was looking like he was going to be really good. And we've brought in two signings this year, which is a new goalkeeper. So that's like we've got 5 keepers for this season and a young winger from Celtic who was released by Celtic. So
Yeah.
I'm not happy with this window.
I wouldn't be if I was you, to be honest.
We're a new European club.
Yeah.
We're linked. We needed signings. We've got 1 striker. We've got 3 midfielders for the whole season. We're in 5 competitions. What are we meant to do with that squad depth?
Yeah, I think now you're in the Europa League, you need more depth. Even if it was like you've said about the free transfers, Ryan Bertrand, all of them ones, just get them in as free transfers, squad depth. I mean, they're not bad, they're not amazing, but as squad depth.
Yeah, I do think that, mate. I'm sort of annoyed by being linked to Tammy Abraham, Kurt Zuma. We were linked to Jesse Lingard. Then we were linked to the West Brom centre attacking midfielder Pereira, who's now gone off to the Saudi League. I think he's gone off to.
Yeah.
So to be linked with loads of players and just not being able to get those signings through is very frustrating.
Well, at least Declan Rice hasn't left you yet.
Yeah.
Yet being the big word.
Yeah, I think if we don't get the right signings in, or we don't continue to go for Europe, we will lose him next summer. We've had a takeover bid, and it's exactly what the board want, but now the board have apparently rejected it. So it's going to be interesting in the next coming weeks and months to sort of see how this all hands out at West Ham United, really.
especially with the fans back.
Yeah, that could go really badly.
It could go very badly.
And finally, let's talk about Wolves. Their transfer window.
I've not seen
They've
much
brought,
about them, to be honest.
so they've brought in Trincao that Barcelona signed from Benfica, I think it was, last summer,
Yeah,
and to be a great up and coming winger. So they've brought him in on a season-long loan, I believe it is. Um, they brought in that Ain't Nori on a permanent transfer this window as well. I think he's the left back that they had last year.
yeah,
And they've brought in a new keeper from Olympiakos or a Turkish club. And on the other hand, they've lost who I would consider one of the best keepers in the league in Patricio.
yeah. I think I agree with you there. I think he was up there with the best.
I think he was the rest, I would say.
Yeah, the best of the rest.
I wouldn't put him up there with the likes of Edison, Allison, De Gea, but I think he was up there.
I think it'd be in the same sort of bracket as Pickford, Leno.
Yeah,
Those
agreed with that. And to lose him, I think it's going to be a massive loss for them.
Yeah.
However, they've got Jimenez back from his awful head injury that he had last year.
Yeah. I saw he played his first game back the other day.
So, overall, with the transfer window, I think they've done quite well. Losing Patricio
I have
is...
seen Ruben Neves linked with United as well as a potential centre midfielder. But again, it's all just rumours, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I've just seen here that Liverpool have tweeted that Andy Robertson will undergo a scan on Monday to determine the extent of the ankle injury. So,
Let's hope he's out for the season, eh?
I wouldn't hope anyone to have that, but let's hope that if he is out injured, Liverpool need to strengthen in that area. So, that's everything from us today on the FMWonderbros podcast about the transfer window. We'll catch up with you soon.
See you
Bye.
later.